What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you all. Man, that still feels good to say Ryan1988 again. Ryan1988 again. Anyway, I am back to do a full ranking of John Carpenter's 21 movies, and I own 20 of his films. The first one I'm going to talk about, I don't own, and I saw it, didn't really care for it. Not necessarily a bad movie, but for me, it's not a movie that I would go and watch again. So I don't own that movie, but I own the rest of his films. And so I'm so excited to talk about all of Carpenter's movies because this is the first list of a director's work that I'm ranking from my least favorite to my favorite. And I hope you guys enjoy this list. So going into why I love John Carpenter. Not only is he one of my favorite horror movie directors, but he's also my favorite director of all time. He made me fall in love with movie. Seeing Halloween for the first time made me fall in love with film. And ever since then, I've loved different movies from different genres. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. I've also met him in person, and I've seen him live in concert. So I have some history with John Carpenter. And I absolutely adore this guy, and he is my favorite director, again, of all time. And when the time comes, when he passes, which I hope it's not anytime soon, but when that does happen, I'm going to be completely devastated because, like with many of you, he has given us movies almost 50 years later, and, you know, I just adore his work. So, I'm going to rank them from 21 to number 1. And the first, I would say, 7 movies, maybe 8 movies. Number 21 through 15, I would say, are movies that the first one I don't really care for. No disrespect to Carpenter, I'm just not a big fan of it. But 20 through 15 are movies that I either enjoy or really enjoy. There's aspects of the movies I love. And then once you get past number 15, they're all movies I pretty much love. So 14 and beyond are all movies that I can watch countless times and love them. So, coming in at number 21 is Dark Star. Dark Star. Rewind, hold on. Coming in at number 21 is Dark Star. So, this is Carpenter's student movie that he directed with Dan O'Bannon from, Return of the Living Dead fame. And this is a movie that people either love or appreciate. I am one that doesn't love or appreciate this movie. It's not necessarily a bad movie, and I give them credit because it's a well-made student movie. But for me, it's not a film that I would go and watch again. I've seen movies of his, movies of Carpenter's movies once, but I know I would go back and watch those movies more than I would watch this movie. And again, no disrespect to him or Dan O'Bannon or people that love this movie. I'm just not one of them, and maybe one day I will go and revisit the film. But that is the only Carpenter movie where I don't see myself ever watching again. Again, I'm not going to say never, because it could happen 10 years from now that I go back and revisit this movie. But right now, I just don't see myself watching it again. So, coming in at number 21 is Dark Star. Coming in at number 20 is Escape from L.A. So, this is a movie that I don't hate. I enjoy this movie. There are things I love. There are things that I think are good. And I think things that are bad. This movie has a mixed kind of pros and cons there. I love Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. I think he gives a great returning performance as the character. Carpenter does a great job directing this movie. Overall, it's a fun film. I think the flaws with the film come with some really questionable CGI moments and some questionable scenes. But I think this movie's fun, and I think it's very entertaining. And while it might not be a Carpenter movie I'll go back and revisit a lot, I definitely am going to revisit it more and more and enjoy the movie for what it is. Coming in at number 19 is Ghost of Mars. So this movie would rank on everybody's bottom list, and probably the worst Carpenter movie for a lot of people. But I really enjoy the movie. I think it's very entertaining. I think it actually has some really good suspenseful moments. And I love the atmosphere. I love the setting. I think the flaws with this movie come with the script, come with some, campy dialogue. Some of the acting is definitely campy in this movie, but I love the villains. I love the way they look. I'm not one of Carpenter's finest movies, but a very entertaining movie. And so Ghosts of Mars comes in at number 19. Number 18 is Memoirs of Invisible Man, of an Invisible Man. This is the only Carpenter movie, or one of the rare Carpenter movies, that when I watch it, I'm like, this doesn't feel like a Carpenter film. There are things that have been achieved in this movie that I really like. I like the times that you see Chevy Chase as invisible. I think it works well. I think it looks great. Especially for 1989, 1990. I think the visuals are still really good today. It's a solid movie, and it's a film that I really enjoyed watching the first time I saw it, but it won't be a Carpenter movie I go back to a lot. That being said, it is a movie that I will see eventually again because I love things about this film. I think the acting is overall great. I love Sam Neill as the villain. I'm glad he went to go work with him again and In the Mouth of Madness. It's just not a movie that I love right now, and it could be a movie that I love in the future, but as of right now, I've only seen it once, and it ranks at number 18 on John Carpenter's list for me. Coming in at number 17 is Body Bags. Again, another only one-time viewing. It's a fun anthology movie, but it's not one of my favorite anthology films, and it's not a Carpenter movie I go to a lot. It's also directed by the late and great Tobe Hooper, so you got two horror movie legends directing this movie and are involved in the movie. And I think it's a solid anthology film. So if you love fun horror movie anthologies, and if you've never seen Body Bags, give it a watch this October. Put it on your watch list. I recommend watching it. So it's one of the underrated, underappreciated anthology films out there. So number 19, or not number 19, number 17, Body Bags. Coming in at number 16 is Elvis. Coming in at number 16 is Elvis. So this is Carpenter's made-for-TV movie. It's his second made-for-TV movie. And I'm not counting his Master of Horror episodes that he did. I haven't seen them, so I really can't talk about them. But this is his second made-for-TV movie in the late 70s. He directed this right after Halloween. I've only seen it once. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's great overall. I think Kurt Russell is great as Elvis Presley. The overall cast is great. I think my only flaws with this movie have to be the runtime. It is a made-for-TV movie, but I've seen made-for-TV movies that are around the same length of time that I love, like Salem's Lot. I just think they could have cut a little bit out of it, but I understand they wanted to tell the life of Elvis Presley. It's not a movie I'll go back and watch a lot, to be quite honest, but it is a great Carpenter or early Carpenter movie that not many people talk about. So give it a watch, check it out. If you only see it once, at least you can say you've seen Elvis, and I think there's some great things about this movie that people would really enjoy. Coming in at number 15 is The Ward, the last the last directed movie by John Carpenter. I know he's directing a TV show, I believe, but it's not out yet. So we're getting that, but before that comes out, this was Carpenter's last thing he directed, and this was in 2010. So this movie, for me, I used to find to be one of Carpenter's best. Like, I just really loved it, and it was in my top 10 favorite Carpenter movies. But since then, I've seen other Carpenter movies, and I've rewatched this film. I rewatched it a couple months ago, and I do love things about it, but I would say overall now I really enjoy it. I love the cast overall. I think you have a great cast here. I like the setting a lot. I think there's some eerie moments. There's some very entertaining moments. It's just not a Carpenter film that, like, when you watch this movie, you go, that's Carpenter. It's not that. But it is a great Carpenter film overall, and I like it more than other people. I know people hate this movie. I'm not one that hates it. I just really enjoy it now compared to how I used to love the film. So coming in at number 15 is The Ward. Coming in at number 14 is Someone's Watching Me, his first made-for-TV movie that I know of. I think it's his first made-for-TV movie. But either way, this came out the same year as Halloween. So I think Halloween came out, and then this one came out not too long after it. But I love Someone's Watching Me. This is an awesome movie. It's an awesome made-for-TV movie, but when I watch the film, it feels like a movie. It feels like a theatrical film. You have a wonderful cast in this, very well acted. Lauren Hutton, Adrienne Barbeau. It might have been the first time. It was, I think, the first time he worked with Adrienne Barbeau, and they later got married. And then Charles Cyphers is in this movie, and he's great as always. Happy belated birthday to Charles Cyphers. I think he had a birthday yesterday. But yeah, I love Someone's Watching Me. Suspenseful, eerie, entertaining. Lauren Hutton is a great lead in this movie. Again, Adrienne Barbeau and Charles Cyphers are great in the film. This is just a very well-directed Carpenter movie that if you've never seen it, go watch it because not many people talk about this movie. So Someone's Watching Me. Definitely check that one out if you've never seen that film. Coming in at 13 is Village of the Damned. So I am one that loves this movie. This is one of Carpenter's probably most underrated and most hated movies. I don't really hear a lot of people say that they love Village of the Damned, but I am one to say I love this movie. Very nostalgic for me. I think that comes into play there. And, you know, I've seen movies growing up, then now when I watch that, I'm like, it doesn't hold up well and I don't love it. But I've always loved this movie, and I go back and I watch it all the time, and I still love the movie. I think it's entertaining. Again, I think it's suspenseful like a lot of his other movies. There might be some cons with this movie, but for me, there's a lot of pros that I fully appreciate and love. I love the cast. I love the music. I think this is a great Carpenter film that doesn't get enough credit, and I wish he would love it more. I know he doesn't love this movie. It's more of a studio film for him, but, you know, for me, it's more than a studio movie. I just absolutely love it, and this was a film I grew up with. If you have the Scream Factory release, or if you don't, I highly recommend picking it up because I love the almost, I think, hour documentary of the cast and the crew, including Carpenter, coming back and talking about the movie. It's really interesting and just a lot of fun to watch. And I learned a lot about this movie by watching that documentary. So Village of the Damned comes in at number 13 for me. Number 12 is John Carpenter's Vampires. I don't even have to say John Carpenter's Vampires. It's just vampires. We're talking about Carpenter movies. But Vampires is not my favorite 90s Carpenter movie, but one of my favorites. It actually might be my second favorite Carpenter movie in the 90s. But Vampires, I love it. I saw this during the blockbuster days of renting it on VHS, and I still love this movie today. I think Valak is one of the scariest and one of the best vampires that we've had in the subgenre. I love the cast. I love the setting. I love the desert setting. I think that was such a unique idea to bring to the vampire subgenre. Absolutely love it. Creepy at times, entertaining, suspenseful. Again, really love John Carpenter's Vampires, and I actually think it's better now than when I first saw it. So I think it's because I appreciate just film in general more, and I really love John Carpenter's Vampires. And then coming in at number 11 is a film that I hate to put at number 11, but it just slightly didn't make my top 10. That is Big Trouble in Little China. Love the movie. Again, entertaining like a lot of his movies. Suspenseful at times. I love the mix of action and horror in here. And it just has a lot of fun elements in it. It's got some sci-fi elements in it. I just absolutely adore Big Trouble in Little China. Jack Torrance, I believe. Jack Torrance? Jack Burton. No, that's wrong. Jack Burton. One of the best characters in any movie. I really love Kurt Russell. I love when he collabs with John Carpenter, and I would love for them to collab again together. I think they need to collab again together, because every time they do, they always bring great characters to the screen and great stories. Big Trouble in Little China, just absolutely I adore that movie. All right, now we're going into my top 10 favorite Carpenter movies of all time. Coming in at number 10 is Assault on Precinct 13, the original film from the 70s. I think 1976 or, yeah, 76. Yeah, I saw this movie for the first time in 2018 or 2017. I saw it right after seeing John Carpenter live in concert with some friends of mine. And yeah, just fell in love with it right away. It's crazy that it took me so long to watch this movie. This is the movie that got him Halloween. And you see a lot of his directorial stuff in this movie go to Halloween and be influenced by a lot of other Carpenter movies afterwards. It carried on. That's the word I was looking for. It carried on to Halloween and so many other movies, especially his early work. And yeah, I just really love Assault on Precinct 13. Great story, great action, great suspense. For an action movie, it's got some great suspense and a great drama. Great cast, great characters. I just absolutely love it, and for me, it ranks in at number 10. It deserves to be on that list, and I think it's going to stay on that list, and it'll probably even rank higher as I watch it more and more. Coming in at number 9 is Escape from New York. So this is a movie that, over time, I've fallen in love with. I have fallen in love with. When I first saw this movie, it wasn't a movie that I loved. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it, and I didn't fully appreciate the movie the first time. Now watching it, the last couple viewings, I'm like, this is fantastic. I love it. One of the things I love about any movie is setting, and the setting is brilliant in this. I love, early 80s New York. I think that's fantastic. This takes place in 1997. So they were trying to do 1997, but of course we all know it was filmed in 1980. But I love the setting. I love the New York setting. I think it's wonderful. Love the cast. Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. My favorite character that he's played in just any movie or television show that he's been involved with. Again, him with Carpenter, they are perfect. Let's get them together again. I love that. Adrienne Barbeau, Donald Pleasance, the list goes on. Ernest Borgnine. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I'm so glad I love this movie now. And I'm so glad I've given the movie more and more chances because I think it's brilliant and I highly recommend it. If you've never seen it, go watch this movie. I mean, I know why people love it. I know the reason why. I get the reason why people love this movie because I love this movie now. And yeah, it has to go in at number 9 for me. It's top 10 Carpenter. Coming in at number 8 is Christine. So this is the first and only time that he's worked with Stephen King himself. And I would love for them to do other work. I know Carpenter was going to do Firestarter, and because of the thing bombing at the box office, they fired him from that movie. But I think he got Christine right after those two, right after The Thing, and right after he got fired from Firestarter. And while I do love Firestarter, this is a better movie, and it's a better story. I love the novel. I think the novel's great. I think it's one of the scariest Stephen King stories we have. And I think this is one of the scariest Carpenter movies. It's about a killer car, and, it's simple at times, but it's scary, and it's terrifying. You have a wonderful cast here. Keith Gordon is so good in this movie. And Carpenter's great as a director. There's some great suspenseful moments that he directs. There's the scene where the main bully is running down the street and the car's on fire, and I love the way it's directed and the angles and the way the lighting is used and the music is used. That's a scene that not many people talk about when they talk about Christine, but it's great. Yeah, I just absolutely love this. So if you've never seen Christine, or if it's been a long time since you've seen it, go watch it. It's one of Carpenter's best movies. Coming in at number 7 is They Live. So They Live is another film like with Escape from Escape from New York, that I have fallen more and more in love with every time I watch it. Because the first time I saw this film, this was 2009, and it was on DVD. I didn't get the hype for this movie. I knew this movie was loved by people, but I wasn't one that loved it. Now I can say I love this movie and I understand why people love it. It's got a great and entertaining story here. It's got great action. It's got a great cast overall. You know, rest in peace, Roddy Piper. He's great in the movie. He plays that, you know, serious role, but he has that camp, and it's perfect. I mean, it is perfect. I'm not, you know, dissing him at all. I love him in this movie. I love how he portrayed the character. I love the writing of the character. You have Keith David in this movie, Meg Foster. The whole cast is great. This is just a very entertaining movie that has great action, great sci-fi and horror movie elements, and it just works so well. So I love They Live. And again, if you're like me and maybe you saw it for the first time and you didn't appreciate the movie, go back and watch it because I'm sure you'll love it like I do. Hopefully you do. Coming in at number 6 is one of Carpenter's films that not many people talk about, and this was one of those rare times he dived into another genre, and it works so well. It's one of my favorite love stories on screen. That is Starman. It's a shame I watched this movie later in life. You know, as a kid, I really didn't have an interest in it. I was more into just the John Carpenter horror movies that we had. And I didn't see this one until later in life. And it's too bad because I think it's brilliant. I'm going to say that. I think it's a brilliant movie. I think it's a heartwarming movie. I think it's an emotional movie. There was a couple teary-eyed moments the first time I saw it. I think you do have two brilliant leads, two fantastic leads in this movie from Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. Two of their best movies. One of Karen Allen's best movies and one of Jeff Bridges' best movies. I love the story. I love, again, the sci-fi there. I love the love story. Again, I'd say it's one of my favorite love stories, and it is. Starman, if you've never seen the movie, go and watch it. It is worth watching, and it is worth owning in your collection, and I highly recommend checking that one out. Now going into my top 5, these are films that I just absolutely love and adore for their different reasons, and they're my top 5 for a reason. So, coming in at number 5 is In the Mouth of Madness, my favorite John Carpenter film from the 90s, and one of his best and underrated ones. You know, things I love about this. The cast is great. Sam Neill and Julie Carmen are great as the two leads in the film. I think the villain, I'm forgetting his name, Sutter Kane is the character's name. He's creepy in this movie. You know, he's just this guy in this movie, but there's a lot to him. And yeah, a very creepy character from a Carpenter movie. I love the craziness of this film. It's a crazy film with different things going on in it, different nightmarish moments throughout the movie. Practical effects wise, they're great. This is a underrated Carpenter movie still that people do love, but they don't talk about it enough. And say if you're getting into Carpenter's work and you've only seen some of his mainstream stuff, go and watch In the Mouth of Madness. This is one I highly recommend checking out. Coming in at number 4 is Prince of Darkness. In my opinion, Carpenter's scariest movie. It's not his best movie, but it's one of his best movies, and it's his scariest movie. There's a lot of reasons why I think this movie is scary. Atmosphere being a big thing in this movie, the setting being a big thing. This green goo globe that they have there that's representing, you know, the devil is scary. Imageries in this movie, nightmarish imageries, the nightmare or dream sequence that these characters all have, the same dream sequence where you hear this voice saying it's not a drill, you know, scary stuff like that. I love the cast. I think the strongest thing by far is Carpenter's score. It's one of the strongest things. The score, the directing, Carpenter's directing is wonderful, but the atmosphere is the best thing. Like, I love the atmosphere. So, if you want to see Carpenter's scariest movie, in my opinion, check out Prince of Darkness. Highly recommend it. Coming in at number 3 is The Fog. So, this would go back and forth between my second favorite Carpenter movie and my third favorite. But right now, it's my third favorite Carpenter movie. Just a great old school ghost movie. Over time, I've heard people say they don't love this movie. They think it's okay. I've always loved this movie. I think this is one of Carpenter's best and one of Carpenter's scariest movies. Probably his scariest movie after Prince of Darkness. But I really love the film, from the cast to the directing to the atmosphere and setting. I think it's brilliant, and I love that film so much. Coming in at number 2 is The Thing. So this is a movie that a lot of people love now, but if you don't know, when the movie came out, it bombed at the box office, and it was hated by so many critics and so many people that it almost stopped Carpenter's career. And again, he got fired from Firestarter because of this movie. Universal didn't want to work with him again. But it's become this beloved classic now that people talk about. And there's a reason why people love it now that I wish people would have saw back then. Came out the same year as E.T., so maybe it was a different sci-fi film that people were not expecting. I don't know. But I think it's brilliant, and I think you have an awesome cast in this, an awesome setting, awesome scares, and just overall just an awesome movie. And I love The Thing. So it's no-brainer what my number 1 is, but we're going to talk about it. And that is John Carpenter's Halloween. My favorite horror movie. Yeah, see the 2 hands? It deserves that. Look at that. My favorite horror movie, but also my favorite movie of all time. And it's what made me fall in love with John Carpenter. It's what made me fall in love with movies. All different genres of movies. I saw this movie and I appreciated the directing and the writing and the cast and the scares and the atmosphere and mood that the movie had. It also takes place on my favorite night of the year, which is Halloween, and it's scary. I just love this film. I know we can nitpick at some of the flaws, like the cigarette smoke that comes across the camera, or the guy standing in the background behind the bush, on the porch of the house, just the guy in the background. But I'm not going to nitpick at that, because I don't want to. Because those are very tiny things that that many directors have done with their films. They've always had that one little problem, that one tiny thing. But for me, I'm not going to nitpick at it. I think this is a brilliant movie. I'm saying it right now. I think it's brilliant. And I love this movie still today, 20 plus years later. And again, it made me fall in love with films, fall in love with horror movies, and fall in love with John Carpenter. So, Halloween, brilliant movie. I absolutely love it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my ranking of all of 21 John Carpenter movies, from his worst to his best. Let me know your ranking, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. But most importantly, thank you for watching. And let me know your favorite Carpenter movie from your worst favorite Carpenter movie. Or maybe if you've seen all of his films, rank them down below from his best to his worst, or his worst to his best. But I hope you're all doing well. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. And with the positive out with the negative, go eat some Skittles. And remember to always be yourself, because you are amazing and you are beautiful. So I'll talk to you guys later. Much love to you all, and goodbye.